Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's finish up with the last set of questions. Okay, close this. All right, let's keep it moving. If multiple teams are working on the same product, how many definitions of done should be there, or should there be? A, there should be multiple definitions of done for multiple teams. B, each team should have its own definition of done that ties into a top level definition of done. C, one definition of done is used to describe the upcoming work on the product. A, B, or C. That's based on the scalability of Scrum topic. And this is not easy to answer, so I'll give you some time to read it again.
That's sure my shot would be.
Each team should have its own definition of done that ties into the top level definition of done.
Yeah.
Everyone is thinking it's B. Are we sure? You on? I think you on mute, Jack. You on mute, Jack. If you're trying to say something.
You're still mute.
Okay, I think okay. All right. So the answer is actually C. And I said that the other day. The definition of done for a team is actually something when we, well, I guess I didn't say it because we haven't spoken about the scalability of Scrum, but that's actually in the Scrum guide. So they're saying that, I think I probably did, let me check, but I think what I said in there was if there are multiple teams, right, that work on the same project, right, usually they get to do one definition of done for the whole set of Scrum teams working on the same project. If the company doesn't have on the high level already standardized definition of done, because some companies actually, when they're trying to implement Scrum at the company level, they're saying, okay, first, all our sprints, regardless of what team, what Scrum team is working on any product at the company level, those are the standards that we're going to be using. We're going to be using sprints that are 2 weeks, right? So you don't get to pick and choose if you want to have 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They standardize everything, and they're saying all the teams within the company, if you have 300 teams, it doesn't matter. All of them have to do 2 week sprints, number one. Number two, they can also, and I was telling you the other day that decide on how the release calendar is going to look like. Some company decide that they're releasing every month, okay? Or some people are releasing every quarter. That's a company standard. And when they decide to release at what frequency they want, everyone, any Scrum team is going to follow that. Okay. So every single Scrum team, regardless of the products that they're working on, I have to release every month or every quarter, depending on what the company sets as standards for Scrum. Okay. Now, another thing is the company can also decide that they have a set of criteria, standardized set of criteria that is defined for any product that is built in the company. And that's what makes the company definition of done. So everyone needs to abide by that. Some company do that way. Some company lets you actually as a dev team decide which ones you want to use as your definition of done. But in this case, we're doing a Scrum of Scrum. If multiple people are working, or multiple Scrum team, I should say, and working on the same product, and the company doesn't have predefined definition of done, then all those teams needs to use the same definition of done because they're working on the same product. Does that make sense? Questions? Okay, so that's why it's C. One definition of done is used to describe the upcoming work on the product. regardless of how many people are working on that or how many Scrum teams are working on that. Okay. If multiple teams are working on the same product, each team is permitted to have more than 9 team members to help scale the team further. True or false? True or false?
It's false.
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 Everybody, okay. Everybody is
Fine.
anybody thinking is true?
Well, I have a question. Why is it not true?
No, I'm saying anybody do you think it's true?
I think it's
I'll just say,
false.
yeah, for the sake of it, I'll say true, just for the sake of argument. Because that ties into my question. Why, like,
Okay, so that's assuming that is false. Okay.
yeah,
So now let me ask you this. How many members are we supposed to be having in the Scrum world? What is the optimal size of a team?
3 to 9.
Right. Now, in the Scrum of Scrum, we said it before. What is the optimal size of a Scrum team when we're doing the scalable Scrum, when we're scaling Scrum? What was the optimal size of the team? Okay, let me go back to it.
Don't remember that one.
Let me show you the slide. 7 plus or minus 2, right?
9.
We said it here.
-2.
7 plus, so
So
5 to
anywhere
9.
between 5 to 9.
Right. Okay. So does that
It
kind of
does
answer
answer perfectly. Yes.
okay? So each team is permitted to have more than 9. No. 5 to 9 is
No.
optimal for Scrum of Scrum. Okay. All right. How many product backlogs should there be for multiple teams working together on a project? A, 1 per team. B, 1 used by all teams. C, 2 per team. So meaning how many product backlogs do we have to track? Is it 1, 2?
One only.
1. A.
A?
Yes.
There should be only one for the entire project. So one used by all teams.
Anybody
Okay.
disagrees with that? All right. It's actually B. How many product backlogs should be there for
Okay.
multiple teams working together on the project? How many on the project? So it means that they can actually have 1 for each of those, 1 used by all the team. So it means that
Yes.
1 product backlog item is used by all the team. So that, I think that's the answer that you had in mind, but you just
Yes.
chose 1 per team. But what you explained was actually toward 1 product backlog that all the teams are using.
That's, yeah.
Yeah. Does that make
Yes.
sense, Jorgen?
Yes, it does. I had the answer because
Yeah.
to me it's one project, it's one product backlog, because
Right.
that product backlog translates to the requirement for that one product we're working on.
That's correct.
So
So
there
the-
cannot be any multiple one.
Yeah. So there's only 1 product backlog that is used by all the teams working on the same project, basically. So the answer is B. All right. So the last question. Oh, actually, there's 2 more. How many? Okay. So you are the Scrum Master, and the Dev department wants advice on how to divide a large group into teams. There are somebody who's talking. Yeah. Okay. So you are the Scrum Master, and the Dev department wants advice on how to divide the large group into teams. Okay. There are 27 people available. Which division of people is into teams is definitely not appropriate? Which way of dividing the people into teams is not appropriate? A, 3 teams of 9. Again, we have 27 people. B, 1 team of 12, 1 team of 8, and 1 team of 7. C, 1 team of 9, 1 team of 7, 1 team of 8, and 1 team of 3.
B
B.
is not,
B.
B.
Why?
because
Mhm.
one of the
Second
team will
other
have
team
more than
has
9.
12.
That's correct. All right, so I think there's no question about that. That's an easy one. Question number 4 or 5. True or false? When multiple teams work together, they can change their working practices to break the Scrum rules if the end product is more acceptable working relationship, is a more acceptable working relationship. Let me reread that. True or false? When multiple Scrum teams work together, they can change their working practices to break the Scrum rules if the end product is more acceptable, is a more acceptable working relationship. True, A, true, B, false. A or B?
B.
A.
B?
I go with
Thanks,
B.
B.
A.
All right, just mute. Okay. Somebody said A,
I
Yes.
say B.
B,
I go with B.
B. Anybody else on A?
I said A.
So in other words, it's false. Multiple teams cannot change their work practices to break down rules if the end product is more acceptable working relationship. We don't change, you don't modify the Scrum process if you decide to work in Scrum. You just follow that. Okay, if you want to choose a different Agile methodology, then you pick a different Agile methodology. But if you're doing Scrum, you're doing Scrum. I think we answered that question also when we were talking about the Scrum events, right? If you're doing Scrum, you need to have all the events because that's what the framework is coming with. Okay. Questions? Make sense? All right.
It makes sense.
Last
Yes.
question. True or false? So Scrum Master should also be expected to work with the wider organization when Scrum is scaled to multiple teams. True or false?
False.
True or false?
False. B.
B.
I'll
B.
say A.
Why not A?
I'll say A.
A. Who else
Mhm.
is thinking it's A?
It's B. I think it's B. And the reason why I go with B is that we want the people in the Scrum framework to be dedicated to the framework.
Okay. Anybody else?
Maybe I
But
don't
they
understand the wording of the question. Maybe I'm not have a bad understanding of the question.
The question.
But,
Go ahead.
but I'll still go with A because I think that they're only asking if he should be working, if Scrum can be applied to big organization, to wider one or something like that. That's how I get it.
Yeah. So Scrum Master should also be expected to work with the wider organization when Scrum is scaled to multiple teams. So it's a Scrum, if you have, for example, a product, right, or project that is touching multiple departments, the way we saw it in the Scrum of Scrum,
Yeah.
right? And we have different teams sending a representative. Is it possible that the Scrum Master is actually attending the Scrum of Scrums, basically?
yes.
Say yes. That's
So
what I
the
said. That's
Yes.
why I get it.
so
A,
the
yeah.
You're right.
so the answer is A,
Mhm.
right? It makes sense, right? There's
It
one
does.
representative. If
Mhm.
you're doing Scrum of Scrum, then you have one representative of which the Scrum Master is part of that you can send, and he can be working with the other representatives.
That's what I wanted to say.
What's that?
Yeah, he continues his coaching role even at that level.
But more importantly, you do have, there's a position that we call, I don't know if you heard of it, the Chief of Scrum, right? So Scrum Master can also,
Scrum of Scrums.
no, Chief of Scrums, that's a position. I mean, yeah, Chief Scrum Master, not Chief of Scrum, sorry. So Chief Scrum Master. That's a high level position where there's a general Scrum Master. Usually for companies who are applying scaled Scrum, you have a Chief of Scrum that is actually has responsible of managing the Scrum process at the company level. And he does have interactions with the different Scrum Masters from the different Scrum teams within the organization, right? He deals with the Scrum process and dependencies related to all the different teams and program and project and portfolio, right? There's a chief of Scrum. And again, he's responsible for applying or deploying the scaled Scrum framework within a company that has a lot of Scrum teams, and for which you do have a lot of dependencies on projects or product building. Okay, so the answer was A. That's it for the questions, and that's basically it for the training. Congratulations to everyone who made it till the end. I hope you got some useful information from this. For those who are going to be taking the exam, the certification, good luck to it. If anybody needs help, I'm probably going to have a session with another group to go till the certification, right? So have all those questions, the Scrum Guide studied, and then having all the practice questions, like 800 questions or more, completed, and prepping them for the exam. I'm also going to help a few people with interviews and stuff like that. So if you having any interest in that, shoot me an email, okay, and let me know if you'd like to be part of it, and I'm going to let you know how and when we make that happen. The other thing is, after this, we're probably going to have to work on the videos, because I think initially people ask about, can we have the videos and stuff. We're going to need to work on them, make sure that we can share the links when we're done, working on them, so you can have benefit of that. So anybody interested in the videos at the end, send me an email after this this training, so I have your email, because I don't want to send it to everybody. I want to make sure that I send it to people who are interested and who attended. Okay. And the last thing is, you're probably going to receive a feedback survey. So if you can please fill that up and let us know what you liked about the training, what you didn't like, right? What you would like to see, how it helped you, how it didn't, and what you're trying to really accomplish taking this training. Okay. On that one, I'll open it to anybody else for word of conclusion, and then we're gonna close the call.
Thank you. So that'll be my word. Thank you for your availability. Thank you for your willingness to share these materials with us, and also setting us up for success. We appreciate that.
All right, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yes, thank you for the time you took to share the information with us. So
No problem. You're welcome.
probably failed this test, but the good thing is it was practice test. So.
You tried it already?
I'm sorry?
You said you tried it already?
No, I'm sorry. As we were doing it, I failed miserably. Okay. But the good thing is that's also the way I learn. I fail and then I learn.
Right. That's good. Yeah.
Thank you for all your time, the quality of your explanations and your knowledge. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks, Cisco.
I'm sorry, I'm under the weather. I cannot speak too much. Thank you so much. I lost my voice today. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. No problem. Take it easy.
Stefan, I wanted to ask if you could share a little bit of your background with us. What brought you into this, and yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like broad, not necessarily.
I mean, I was telling you before that were you there the first day? Anybody else? All right. Again, thank you for attending. Congratulations on finishing up with the training. Good luck to anyone who's going to be taking the certification, who's going to be applying for jobs. And I just wish you good luck to in your future endeavors. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you and good night. See you next time.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.